when we talk about shape, shape is a weird thing to think about because you're not flat, you're three-dimensional. So we have to think about the fact that everything in biology, based in chemistry, has a three-dimensional shape to it. And we have to deal with that, okay? So in this case, this is ammonia. Some of you may know ammonia. Some folks use it for cleaning. It's that stinky smell that's produced in a cat litter box. So this is what the compound actually looks like. Now, we draw it flat, because when we draw, we're drawing on a flat piece of paper, right? But what we try to do is actually give you some representation that shows you, like in these ball and stick and space filling models, that these things actually have shape. Now, you may not care. You may not understand why it's important for things to have shape, other than the fact that you might not want to be flat. But everything in your body is dependent on the shape that it is. So when we look at things like water, we already talked about water, and we talked about the fact that oxygen is an electronegative hog. We talked about the fact that there will be electrons up here producing a partial negative, taken away from down here, making partial positives. This design actually forces the shape. It actually forces the hydrogens down to this bottom. Water doesn't care about having legs, okay, the way this is situated. What we're looking at instead is this interaction between the electrons that forces the hydrogens away, in this case, pushes them away, and gives three-dimensional shape to water, okay? Now, in your body, everything we deal with, here's a large enzyme. We'll talk about this later. It's a protein. And its job is to do something to this big yellow thing. Well, this big yellow thing we'll just refer to as a substrate. We'll talk about these a lot. So this substrate has to fit inside that enzyme. If the enzyme is not shaped properly, the substrate can't fit, the enzyme can't do its job. More simply, when you smell bread, the odor molecules have a particular shape. They go into your nose, they sit into receptors that are proteins. These receptors are actually proteins, like we were just talking about. And it's going to send a signal to your brain. Well, if these receptors aren't formed properly, or if the bread molecule isn't shaped properly, you may think instead of smelling bread that you're smelling a skunk. Two very different things, right? Okay. Shape becomes very important. We'll look at this a lot.